Have you ever sent a message to someone who always replied before, only to hear nothing for days? You wonder what happened. You replay every possibility. But behind that silence, a story may be unfolding that nobody else can see. Psychologists often connect this behavior to emotional withdrawal, a natural response to overwhelming stress. In simple words, it means pulling away from people when life feels too heavy. It is not always rejection. Sometimes it is the mind trying to protect itself when everything feels like too much. But why does this happen? For some, silence began early in life. They learned that expressing pain brought criticism, not comfort. Staying quiet felt safer than speaking honestly. For others, difficult experiences slowly taught them that people often misunderstand emotional struggles. They stopped explaining because they expected disappointment instead of support. And there are those who become silent because they never want to worry the people they love. They carry the burden alone, believing that protecting others is more important than asking for help. Their loyalty, their caution, and their quiet strength become habits that are difficult to break. What does life feel like inside their mind? They often think, "I'll talk when I feel better." But tomorrow becomes next week, and next week becomes even longer. They wonder if anyone would truly understand. They worry about saying the wrong thing. They smile. But inside, something else entirely. Their thoughts become a quiet storm, and every conversation feels heavier than it should. Over time, this silence begins to change more than their relationships. Stress grows because emotions stay trapped inside. Loneliness quietly becomes familiar, even when caring people remain nearby. Friends may stop reaching out because they assume everything is fine. The silence that once felt protective slowly becomes another source of pain. So, why don't they simply tell someone what is happening? Because the invisible barrier is often fear. Fear of being misunderstood. Fear of becoming a burden. Fear of appearing weak after trying so hard to seem strong. Some also believe they must solve every problem before speaking about it. They wait for the perfect moment, but that moment rarely comes. If you watch carefully, the signs are often easy to miss. They suddenly cancel plans without much explanation. They answer messages with only a few words instead of their usual conversations. They disappear from social media or stop sharing parts of their daily life. They often say they are just busy, even when exhaustion is written across their face. These quiet changes usually reflect emotional overload, not a lack of care. But there is another side to this silence. Many people who withdraw during difficult times are deeply caring individuals. They spend so much energy managing their own emotions that they have little left for conversation. They may still think about their friends every day. They may still appreciate every message they receive. They simply do not know how to explain the weight they are carrying without feeling even more overwhelmed. Psychology reminds us that silence is not always the absence of love. Sometimes it is the language of emotional survival. Healthy connection does not require someone to be cheerful every day. It requires enough safety to be honest when life becomes difficult. Even the strongest people sometimes need quiet before they can find their voice again. Perhaps someone you know has gone silent recently. Perhaps you have mistaken their distance for rejection. Or perhaps you recognize yourself in these words. Going quiet does not mean someone has stopped caring. It often means they are fighting a battle they cannot yet describe. Real healing rarely begins with having all the right answers. Sometimes it begins with one safe conversation, one patient listener, or one simple reminder that no one has to carry life's hardest moments completely alone.